I'm so honored and glad to have all of you sign up and join me on this webinar. This is my passion, sharing my story and giving back. Find something that you will do for free and learn how to monetize it is one of the quotes that one of my mentors always told me. I have to put out a little bit of disclaimer here. So this webinar is for just designed for you to give you added value for educational purposes only. There's no guarantee of success. This is not a get rich quick scheme, and there's no such thing as overnight success. So success is a process and a journey. It's not a destination. But I find that all of the clients that I've worked with that invest in themselves and are 100% committed, some of you are on this webinar as well, and take actions are the ones that will ultimately. So what are we going to learn tonight? One is why now is the best time to become a public speaker, especially in the COVID-19 era. And what I want to do is open up your eyes and broaden your scope and definition of what a public speaker is and does, and how easy it is to get started and to start sharing and inspiring your audience. So a lot of you are already doing public speaking, but you may not realize it. Pay attention to the stories, because stories are the vehicles that you will be delivering your information, ideas, and content, and keeping your audience engaged. I'm going to also talk about the key point I want to take home for you tonight is the importance of building your story brand. That is the vehicle that's going to get you hooked. The vehicle that's going to get you booked for your speeches and allow you to start influencing and sharing your message. We'll also get into the different types of speeches, getting started. I'm going to give you a lot of pearls of wisdom through my 2 years as a public speaker, some success stories, and finally, a conclusion. Pay attention also to getting booked on other people's platforms, as well as developing your own platform so that you're never dependent upon someone else for your speeches. So how are you guys using public speaking currently in your careers? So it could be full-time, could be part-time, and in addition to your full-time income, it could be either free or paid. So what makes me qualified to be giving this presentation? And I want you to pay particular attention to this slide, because we're going to come back to this when we talk about Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey and how it relates to building your story brand. So nowhere was being a public speaker on my radar if you asked me what I would be doing when I was in my teenage years or my early 20s. I was shy, introverted. I stuttered. I couldn't look people in the eye. I was short, pudgy Asian kid, always the outsider. So I always got bullied. I always got picked on. And a lot of my friends came from wealthy families. I didn't have any of that. So from an early age, I saw the power of what being financially free and independent could do for one's life and family. So as you'll see later with the hero's journey, I share that story of authenticity and vulnerability, along with my unique entrepreneurial journey and path to be able to reach audiences, influence, and impact them on a level unattainable if I had stayed the conventional route. So I had to develop that entrepreneurial skill set in order to survive. I grew up with a lot of uncertainty and dysfunction. And there was a point where I told myself I would never be dependent upon any job, boss, corporation, government, social security, or pensions. But I went into the high paying professions, not because I was passionate about it, but at that time, at the cusp of the industrial and millennial age, those were the professions that would provide economic stability, status, and prestige so you could get ahead in life and have a nice life. So I went to Baylor for medical school. I was part of the MD PhD program along with Rice University. But it was during medical school that I started investing in real estate and in stocks and options. And this was right after 9/11, because I saw all of that uncertainty happening, and also with managed care. And so by my final year of medical school, I was able to generate a full-time income without needing to depend upon a job or working for someone else. But nevertheless, I was strongly encouraged to pursue the conventional route. So I remember going through the specialty list, and I wasn't particularly enthusiastic or passionate about any of them, but I settled upon orthopedic surgery because that was the highest paying specialty. Matched in 2007 to Rutgers University, but on day one, I knew I had made the wrong career choice, but I toughed it out for 2 years out of fear. At one point, I could no longer look myself in the eye. So at the peak of the financial crisis in September of 2008, when Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy, I mustered up the courage, walked into my chairman's office and resigned on the spot. And as they say, the rest is history. That was one of the lowest points in my life, but that was, we'll see later on, the hero's journey, where I spent the next 8 years investing in single family condominiums. And by my mid 30s, had become a millionaire to the point where I would never have to work for anyone if I didn't want to. I then took the year off and in 2017 launched my freelance consulting company. So now I'm a 4 times Amazon author. I've appeared on top physician influencer platforms, including John Jerica, Misha Claiborne, Charmaine Gregory, Andrew Tisser, Dave Venus, Kevin MD, Peter Kim's Passive Income MD, and Mike Lean. And I'm also preparing for my TEDx talk in October. And I've also been on Peter Kim's Leverage and Growth Summit, as well as a SEAT conference speaker in 2018. And so now I'm focused more on, instead of getting on other people's platforms, I'm focused on creating my own platforms. I'm passionate about inspiring others and motivating them to take actions to better themselves and better their lives, whether that's through alternative careers, multiple streams of income, becoming influencers and public figures. Because whether you know it or not, most of the people on here aren't probably struggling financially, but they're just trying to find a leg up in order to gain more influence and to help others and to elevate others. So this is really for people that want to make a difference and impact in the world. Broadly speaking, a public speaker, I want you to focus on the second definition, which was the art of effective oral communication with an audience. So all of us, most of us are physicians on this webinar. We do this every day with our colleagues, our spouses, especially our patients, our kids. So whether you believe it or not, most of us have public speaking skills. We just don't realize it. So I'm trying to bring that out to you and trying to let you guys know. So enough about me. I want this webinar to be about you. This was my first paid speech. I started my speaking career in June of 2018. I didn't know anyone or anything. I had almost no social media following, but I started going to conferences and I started to network and I started to put myself out there, starting to do these small 15-minute, 30-minute speeches. I even joined Toastmasters just to force myself to be impromptu and spontaneous. This first conference, they paid for flight, hotel, transportation, and food. And from there, I secured 5 high-ticket coaching clients into my 6-week private coaching program. That's how effective my message was. So I started getting on video, I started doing pro bono speeches. And you'll find that doing pro bono speeches is the easiest way to make more than actual paid speaking gigs. So typically a 5K speaking gig is pretty good, but the 10,000, 15, 20 is reserved for the more experienced and the ones that have greater brand. But even if you do it pro bono or even less than 5K, you can always monetize it through other means. I've coached a lot of clients. I've sold a lot of books. I've secured a lot of future speeches. So I'm trying to teach you guys how to learn how to monetize your skill set. There's so many different ways, even though the conference doesn't pay you per se. And in effect, it's giving you a platform so that you can add value, educate, inspire, and teach. Another point I want to make is we've all given presentations during medical school, residency, fellowship, but all of these were actually just free. They're not actually paid. So I want to emphasize the key is how to monetize your brand and experience through paid speeches. So whether it's through CME or it's through grand rounds or other privately, independently organized speeches, there's always ways to monetize it. So the next point I want to make is we all have to be smarter. We all write, we all speak, and we all influence. So we need to learn how to monetize that skill set. And lastly, I want to make the point that public speaking is all about persuasion, influence, motivating, and inspiring others to action, along with education and information through the use of stories. So I went on a Texas tour. I spoke at my alma mater, promoted my books, appeared on a lot of panels and podcasts. And it was after 15 months, I was pitching talks at Google, Fortune 500. All of them were rejected for about 15 months. But eventually I built a big enough brand and a following to land my first TEDx talk, which was back in February of 2020. because of COVID, it was scheduled for April, but got delayed until October. So I'm giving all my audience and followers the link once it's actually completed. My first TEDx talk, this is going to be one of the items we will specifically address in the boot camp, because I get a lot of inquiries and questions on the question, how do I become a TEDx speaker? That seems to be the one thing everybody wants to go for, the TEDx. But I want to emphasize that there's a more strategic way of using TEDx and getting on the TEDx stage rather than how do I become a TEDx speaker, because it's quite an involved and multimodal process. Also in October of 2020, I'm going to be offering a 2-hour workshop on crafting your TEDx speech, connecting with the right people. And that will be also one of the bonus portions of the bootcamp program. This was the Leverage and Growth Summit that I was a part of most recently back in May with Peter Kim's Passive Income MD, along with 50 other physicians. This was my first virtual international keynote for the Cairnhill School in Scotland. Right now, gotten more creative. I'm more diversified in terms of how I'm able to reach my audience using technology. So the next poll I want to start is, how many of the following are using the following platforms? I know we have a lot of podcasters, YouTubers. I know there's a couple physician influencers in the audience. So online courses, webinars, masterminds, any of the social media lives, IGTV, TikTok, Snapchat. So just go ahead and enter in your responses and we'll go from there. So I'm getting a lot of Facebook, YouTube, IG lives, IGTV. It's about 75%. And then the other 25% is podcasting. The point I want to make with this poll is that so many of you are already public speakers. You just don't realize it. We do it every day on our everyday clinical practices with our clients. It's just that being a public speaker on stage or on webinars and different platforms is just more concentrated and delivered from one to many in a single point in time. So the idea is that we have a message, a story, and we have a medium, in particular video, audio, could be live or recorded. And we're putting our own spin and twist on things in order to connect with our audience, in order to educate, inform, entertainment, inspire, etc. So the question is, why be a public speaker? There's a lot of advantages of being a public speaker. One is that it amplifies, it gives you a platform. It gives you a way to reach people, influence people. You can talk about very important social issues, physician burnout, physician finances, racial inequalities, COVID-19. So it gives you a platform. It elevates you to being an influencer and a public figure. It also is a way to market yourself. So when you're on stage or in front of audiences, you can be talking about your experience, knowledge, expertise. It can be building your brand. It can be marketing your products, your services, as well as your authority. The other thing is I want to emphasize is that being a public speaker has amplified my network and my reach by 10x. So traditionally, when we used to go to conferences, we'd go and shake hands, go to these happy hours and exchange information, business cards. So that's networking 1.0. But in today's society, with the information age, you can use public speaking to 10x your network. So what that means is that you being on stage and you delivering the value brands you as an authority. So that's going to cause a lot of people to reach out to you, ask for your knowledge, your expertise. The other thing is that it recession-proof your business, because if you look at COVID-19, a lot of people are struggling. However, with the multiple streams of income system that I've developed and created over time as a result of being an outsider, I'm actually thriving now. So COVID-19 helped me to thrive, and it also introduced new business channels and means of being able to go out and actually thrive when the next crisis hits. So right now I have 8 to 9 different income streams, but public speaking is one of my favorite because it helps me to share my story, inspire others. And I actually want the same for you as well. It's actually very lucrative. I know that, for example, Tony Robbins, Oprah, Michelle Obama, a big enough brand, you can get 100,000, 200,000 a single day. So it's very lucrative. The other thing is it's very creative. So it allows you to use your knowledge and your expertise and how you're going to market yourself and how you're going to deliver that value to the masses. And then the last 4, what I call higher level advantages. So that's for being able to reach people, to impact people, influence people to make their lives better, to inspire them, to motivate them. So I think that's one of the reasons why all of us are interested in public speaking, is because we want to give back and we want to become influencers and public figures. And it's not because we need the money, but because we actually want to. So it's going to be passion income. So what are the different types of speeches? So we can go into the different types. So for example, there's the most common ones are keynotes, where you're up in front of an audience, but there's also ones where you're conference breakout sessions where you can be part of a panel. There's a lot of different types. For example, TEDx, Fortune 500, Google. There can be invited guest speakers. So it depends on how how creative you are, and the conference organizers. And what you can do is it can serve very different purposes. So you can inspire, you can motivate, you can educate, you can teach. The other big thing that's evolving in this COVID-19 era are digital platforms. So you create your own speaking platforms, such as podcasting, YouTube, webinars, virtual summits. All of these can be either recorded or live. All of it is you're speaking in front of people and you're speaking to an audience. And you can also create your own platforms as well. So that's a way to amplify your reach and also to diversify your income streams, as well as to impact more people. So this slide is one of the most important slides in the webinar, and it's called the story brand. And if you look at all of the TEDx, if you look at all of the major Fortune 500 keynotes, all of the global keynotes, Google, things like that, all of the speakers will use this paradigm. And in the bootcamp program, we will devote a significant portion to crafting and developing your story brand that is pitchable. So when you go to pitch your idea to the conference organizers, to your connection, the message, it hooks and it also has a high impact. So that's the purpose of the bootcamp program, is to craft your story so that you become extremely marketable to the highest conferences. So let's go into this, what is called the hero's journey. So this is popularized by Joseph Campbell. And you have this known area and you have the hero. So for example, if you remember my story, I had the traditional well-known path, pretty linear path to success. But then I realized that I was living a lie and I wasn't really following my true passion. So that's my call to adventure, right? And so the day that I turned in my keys, badge, and pager to set out and create my own destiny, that's the abyss. So that's the down. So the reason why my story resonates with so many audiences is because nobody in their right mind could imagine leaving an orthopedic residency because they weren't passionate about it, because it's one of the highest competitive specialties and it's really hard to get in. So it resonates with a lot of people, and it also triggers a lot of questions. And then what did you do afterwards? So that's the part where I became a millionaire and created multiple streams of income. And now I'm sharing it with others. And all stories have a beginning, a peak, a downfall, and a rise again. Everybody has a story. Nobody's story is going to be perfectly linear. So you want to find your market segment. What are their pain points? What are their aspirations? And you want to craft your story. What is your start? What is your rise to the top? What is your fall? And what is your rise again? And you want to use that story along with your idea to hook your audience and to create your message. So that's the key on how you make it onto the TEDx stage, Google, Fortune 500, and keynote global speeches. So how do you get started? Really, I started volunteering. I started speaking at Toastmasters, Rotary Clubs. I was part of a lot of networking masterminds, and I would just do speeches for free. Even if it was a 5-minute speech, 10-minute speech, I started doing videos on YouTube. I started putting it out there because the number one fear is not fear of failure. The number one fear of people is fear of public speaking. It invokes a primal fear response in us because it's just public ridicule and the shame and the rejection. So a lot of people shy away from it. But if you can learn to tolerate a little bit of social pressure, you can put yourself under uncomfortable situations, eventually develop a tolerance. Same with me. I stuttered. I wasn't able to speak well in public, but now after thousands of iterations, I'm able to be comfortable and share my message and story. They can be invited, volunteer, conferences. You can do your own platforms. A lot of you are podcasters. A lot of you are YouTubers, even on your Facebook and Instagram lives. A lot of you have already gotten started. So the next phase is to find out what your message is and how you want to craft that story to get it to your audience. So all of us have an inspiring message and a unique story to share. We have to develop craft and hone it for maximal impact. And the top elements that I've seen in the top speakers are they have the art and science of speaking, which is the creativity, which is the communication portion, the desire to share, inspire, motivate, and educate. And then there's also the business part. And the business part is the part where it's going to make it either lucrative. It's going to involve a lot of marketing, pitching, selling. It's going to be a lot of networking, but it's one of my favorite portions because I'm very business minded. So if you can combine the two, you can do very well for yourself as a public speaker. So the next decade is going to be all about the creative entrepreneur. It's going to be for all the people, the risk takers. The industrial age, where everybody was relying on a single income, a pension, the government, don't take risks and you don't start innovating and thinking outside the box and start adapting to the information age, eventually you'll struggle and get left behind. So really the next decade is really those who are pursuing their dreams and passions and not really clinging on to stability and security. You have to get smarter, start educating yourself. A lot of you are taking the first step by attending this webinar. I think the fields of AI, automation, virtual reality, blockchain, Internet of Things are going to create acceleration. So don't get left behind. Take the knowledge here and apply it to your current situation. So you can read a lot of the testimonials. Really, my passion is whether I get paid for it or not, is really if I inspired you to take action and I motivated you, then I did my job. For example, this is one of my speeches. I was able to motivate this physician. What he said was he couldn't remember the exact content, but he could remember my process and what I was going through, which resonated with him. And right now he's got himself out of a sticky situation and now he's on his path towards financial freedom. A lot of these, if I'm able to motivate you and inspire you, then I've done my job. Here was another audience member. He's now a client of mine. I was able to inspire him and have him face his fears and take the leap and have him live the life that he's dreamed of. It's been a pleasure serving my audience over the last 1.5, 2 years. I do anticipate becoming bigger, becoming a bigger brand and influencing more and more people. So if I can inspire, motivate people and use my vulnerability and authenticity to help others, and I want to do that lifelong through my speeches. And so what it is, I want to introduce you to the Bootcamp Pro curriculum, which will start in August. The first week, it's a 4-week program. Each week has a 1-hour session, just like tonight. It's going to be talking about different aspects. So the first one is going to be building your story brand. The second week is going to talk about getting booked for the different types of speeches. Third week is going to be talking about how to get booked as a speaker. And the fourth week is going to be talking about just the nuts and bolts. Most of my speaking gigs have been paid via 1099. So the importance of an S corporation to save on taxes, a lot of deductions. I also include live 1-hour Q&A. So there's 2 of them. So you always get there. So that's going to be the curriculum. There will be changes and adjustments as needed. And so this is the actual course value, if you will. So first, I like to think of it in terms of client assessment, where they're at mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then work on transformation. So how to best take them from where they are to where they want to be. So a lot of the assessment talks about mindset. There's going to be a live education with myself and as well as private one-on-one consultation. So this portion is worth $800. The transformation portion is worth $1,000. And you're going to have a private Facebook group. You're going to have networking. You're going to have access to me and my team. There's the educational webinars and the biweekly live Q&A. And so what I want to do is if you're interested go ahead and sign up. It's $250 today, but it will go up to $300 tomorrow. So the total value is $2,500. You also get various bonuses. So you're going to get the main thing is you're going to get access to my online course, which is $350 value, which is financial freedom through passive income. You're also going to get a personalized autographed copies of my 4 financial freedom book series worth $80. And you also get a free 15-minute discovery private coaching call at $60. And then also you get a free ticket to the October virtual workshop on how to become a TEDx speaker. So that's currently going at $197. So there's a lot of bonuses here. I'm really invested and I really want to see you guys succeed if you're interested in using public speaking as a additional thing. So with that, I'll leave the offer up. And then if you're interested, just go ahead and sign up. And these are some of my client testimonials. Dr. Reddy, who became a client of mine after the Leverage and Growth Summit. I've done projects with Charmaine Gregory, Maisha Claiborne. These are some of my other clients from my various speaking engagements, all positive testimonials. And I'm always dedicated to the client success. So final thoughts, public speaking is highly fun. It's enjoyable. It's creative. It can be really lucrative. And it's a great way to supplement your main income. The biggest pitfall is not getting started and letting your fear of failure or fear of speaking in front of people get to you. So really get started. I hope I've been able to give you a good framework for how to get started. And if you join me on the bootcamp, happy to have you. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed that webinar segment and got a ton of free value from it. If you're looking for more resources to help you on your financial freedom journey, we've got plenty to offer. You can book a coaching call with us for personal guidance or explore our range of digital courses, e-products, workshops, books, and audiobooks, all designed to help you grow and succeed. And if you want to stay connected and continue learning, make sure to follow us on social media. Just click on the links below to stay updated with our latest content and resources. Thanks again for tuning in, and I look forward to working with you. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed that webinar segment and got a ton of free value from it. If you're looking for more resources to help you on your financial freedom journey, we've got plenty to offer. You can book a coaching call with us for personal guidance or explore our range of digital courses, e-products, workshops, books, and audiobooks, all designed to help you grow and succeed. And if you want to stay connected and continue learning, make sure to follow us on social media. Just click on the links below to stay updated with our latest content and resources. Thanks again for tuning in, and I look forward to working with you.